If you own a Labubu, you might want to turn on your lights. There's a reason thousands of collectors around the world refuse to keep these figures in their bedrooms. They say its expression changes in the dark. Its eyes seem to look deeper, almost like they're following you. And some people swear it appeared in their dreams, even before they bought one. Sounds crazy. Well, not after you hear what inspired the very first sketch of a Labubu. This isn't just about a cute toy with big ears and rabbit teeth. There's a much darker, untold story behind its creation. A story that many fans don't even know. Keep watching mine, Cipher, because I'm about to show you the part of the story that no one else dares to explain. You might not look at your collection the same way again. Stay tuned, and don't forget to subscribe. In the shadowed corners of creativity, where imagination stretches beyond reason and reality bends ever so slightly, there emerged a figure so strange, so compelling that it whispered to the minds of those who encountered it. This figure was known as Labubu, a creature at once playful and enigmatic. Its presence felt even before it was fully understood. It began as a sketch, simply in form, yet carrying an energy that seemed alive. Pointed ears stood alert, large, expressive eyes shimmered with an almost sentient glimmer, and a mischievous smile, small yet impossibly suggestive, hinted at secrets it was not yet ready to reveal. The origin of Labubu is shrouded in obscurity. Its earliest traces appear in the personal notebooks of Kasing Lung, a Hong Kong illustrator whose works straddled the realms of fantasy, folklore, and subtle unease. He drew creatures that seemed to breathe from the page, but Labubu was different. Unlike other characters, which felt like whimsical flights of fancy, Labubu seemed aware of its observer. Those who first glimpsed the sketches reported an odd sensation, a kiat unease, a feeling that the creature was not merely an image, but something present, observing, waiting. Some claimed that when stared at long enough, Labubu's eyes seemed to shift ever so slightly, as if acknowledging the viewer's attention. From these humble beginnings, stories began to emerge. Early collectors of Kasing Lung's illustrations spoke of peculiar experiences. A student of design recounted that, after acquiring a small Labubu sketch, she began dreaming vividly, not of nightmares, but of a world drenched in color, light, and shadow. A world that carried the faint echoes of the creature's presence. In these dreams, Labubu appeared in different forms, sometimes mischievous, sometimes solemn, guiding, observing, sometimes vanishing in the blink of an eye. The dreamer awoke with a lingering sense that the creature had left a mark, a subtle alteration in his perception of reality, as if the world had slightly shifted during the hours of sleep. Another story came from an older art enthusiast in a quiet district of Hong Kong. She claimed to have seen Labubu manifest beyond paper. One evening, she noticed a sketch that she had pinned to her studio wall seemed to emit a faint glow. Though she questioned her own eyes, she found the feeling impossible to dismiss. A tug at the edges of her awareness, a warmth in the air, a sense that she was being silently observed, whether it was imagination or something more. The incident marked the beginning of Labubu's reputation as a creature capable of crossing the boundaries between art and reality. As the whispers spread through the small, tight-knit circles of art communities, Labubu began to accumulate stories like a growing constellation of myths. Each collector, observer, added a thread to the emerging tapestry. Some spoke of fleeting shadows in their peripheral vision, moments when Labubu seemed to occupy space beyond its tangible form. Others reported small objects shifting slightly when a figure of Labubu was placed nearby. A pen nudged to a new angle. A cut moved an inch to the side, subtle, almost imperceptible, but enough to make the mind question what was real. It was as though the creature's playful spirit extended into the world, blurring the lines between imagination and reality. Then came Pop Mart. The Hong Kong-based company recognized the magnetic appeal of Labubu and began producing vinyl figures, each carefully designed to reflect the creature, its mischievous, ambiguous energy. The first figures were released in limited numbers, sold primarily to collectors who were already steeped in the whispered stories of the creature's uncanny qualities. With the figures, the stories escalated. A collector in Taipei recounted that upon placing a Labubu figure on her desk, she noticed subtle movements, the figure's tilt, the shifting of objects nearby, the slight feeling that she was being watched. At first, she dismissed it as imagination, but over time, the encounters became more persistent. The aura surrounding Labubu seemed to amplify in its physical form, bridging the gap between illustration and object, dream and reality. Labubu's allure was not merely in its form, but in its mystery. The creature's design was carefully balanced, approachable yet uncanny, adorable yet enigmatic. Its eyes, always expressive, seemed to harbor knowledge it would never share. Its tiny fangs suggested a hint of danger, a secret playfulness that made observers simultaneously thrilled and unnerved. It was this tension, the interplay between the familiar and the unknown, that captured the imagination of those who encountered Labubu, giving rise to the stories that would soon travel far beyond Hong Kong. By the time social media began to host communities dedicated to Labubu, the creature had already begun to develop a mythology of its own. Collectors shared experiences online, videos showing the figures in various positions, accompanied by accounts of strange sensations. One post described a figure on a nightstand, observed by the poster as a shadow flickered across the room, and the eyes of Labubu seemed, in some inexplicable way, to follow the movement. Another recounted the feeling of warmth emanating from a figure during a late-night study session, as though it had a pulse, a subtle life force, resonating in quiet harmony with the observer's own presence. Among these stories, the early whispers grew into patterns. People noted that certain editions, especially early or rare releases, carried the most peculiar phenomena. It was unclear whether these effects were real or psychological, but the consistency across reports lent them an eerie credibility. Labubu was no longer simply a figure. It was a living legend, quietly infiltrating the consciousness of those who engaged with it, bending the boundaries of perception, imagination, and belief. The early stories also carried hints of community. Collectors, united by shared fascination, began comparing experiences, trading figures, and documenting their interactions. They speculated on the origins of Labubu, S.A. uncanny aura. Was it a trick of the mind, a clever marketing phenomenon, or something far stranger, a creature that had escaped the confines of its creator's imagination to inhabit the world, leaving subtle signs of its presence in the waking lives of humans? Each theory, each story, deepened the sense of mystery surrounding Labubu, making it more than a toy, more than an illustration, more than a collection of anecdotes. It had become an experience, a phenomenon, a legend in motion. Even in these early days, the legend was self-reinforcing. Stories inspired others to engage with Labubu, which in turn generated more stories. Each encounter, each unboxing, each whispered tale added layers to the creature's mythology. The more people observed it, the more it seemed to occupy the space between reality and imagination, becoming an invisible thread woven into the fabric of perception itself. The boundaries of the creature's existence were fluid, shifting with each observer, each interaction. Each story passed on in hushed tones, online posts, or quiet conversations in studios and cafes. And so, the first part of Labubu's story closes with the faint echo of a question that has persisted for decades. What is Labubu? Is it merely a creation, a product of design and marketing, or is it something more? A creature of thought and imagination that slipped quietly into the world, leaving a shadow of mystery in its wake. Its story had begun, its presence felt, and its legend whispered in every corner where those who dared to look closely would sense it waiting, watching, smiling quietly in the shadows. As Labubu moved beyond the sketchbooks of Kasing Lung and the small circles of early collectors, it began a transformation, no longer confined to paper or whispered stories. It entered the tangible world, molded in vinyl, brightly colored, its mischievous grin captured in 3 dimensions. The creature's new form carried the same uncanny energy as its sketches, but now it could be held, displayed, and observed in the physical world. This transition marked the beginning of Labubu's rise from legend to phenomenon, a journey that would enthrall millions across continents and cultures. Pop Mart, recognizing the creature's potential, released the first editions of Labubu figures in limited quantities, often packaged in blind boxers. These small, sealed containers contained one of several possible Labubu variants, creating a thrill of anticipation and uncertainty. Each box promised a surprise, a chance encounter with a rare version that might never be seen again. Collectors were drawn into the pursuit with an almost ritualistic fervor, scouring stores, waiting in lines, and trading feverishly in hopes of capturing the elusive rare figures. The pursuit itself became part of the legend, as if the act of searching mirrored the mysterious nature of Labubu itself, a game of patience, luck, and desire. The culture surrounding Labubu quickly developed its own mythology. Social media platforms, forums, and blogs became spaces where devotees shared their experiences, their unboxings, and their encounters with the uncanny. Videos of Labubu figures perched on desks or shelves, often filmed with reverent care, garnered millions of views. Observers described subtle phenomena, a figure appearing slightly different when not directly observed, the faintest movement of a figure across a room, or an inexplicable warmth emanating from its vinyl surface. Some claimed that after unboxing, the creature seemed to choose its owner, forging a bond that was felt more than seen. The obsessive fascination with Labubu was fueled not only by rarity and design, but also by the stories that accompanied it. Collectors told of dreams that felt vivid and alive after placing a figure in their home, of fleeting glimpses in the corner of their vision, or of objects moving without explanation. Each story, whether grounded in fact, imagination, or myth, strengthened the collective aura surrounding the creature. Labubu became a symbol of wonder and unease, a nexus where human curiosity met the inexplicable. Collectors' devotion escalated into what could only be described as cult-like obsession. Rare edition seasonal variants and collaboration figures became objects of pursuit across borders. Enthusiasts traveled from city to city, country to country, seeking exhibitions, pop-up events, and private sales. Some even described emotional experiences, a feeling of connection to the creature that transcended the ordinary fascination with toys. Labubu's smile, small but piercing, seemed to contain secrets that each owner yearned to understand, but could never fully grasp. The stories of obsession also carried shadows. Some collectors became consumed, their lives shaped around the pursuit of new figures. Social media posts chronicled the thrill of acquisition, but also the quiet unease that accompanied it. Dreams intertwined with reality. People described awaking to find figures in positions different from where they had been placed, or experiencing sensations of being observed when no one else was present. Whether these phenomena were psychological, coincidental, or something more profound, the legend of Labubu thrived in the ambiguity. The creature's influence extended beyond the tangible, leaving impressions in thought, emotion, and perception. The global expansion of Labubu further amplified its mystique. From Hong Kong, the figures and the legend spread to Europe, North America, and beyond. Videos of collectors' shelves, unboxing events, and pop-up exhibitions circulated widely, captivating audiences who had never physically encountered the creature. People marveled at its design, discussed its nuances, and speculated endlessly about its nature. Was Labubu merely an extraordinarily well-designed toy, or had it somehow absorbed the essence of imagination, becoming a living myth in the process? In forums and social media groups, theories flourished. Some claimed that Labubu was an art spirit, a manifestation of human creativity given form. Others suggested it was a modern talisman, a symbol infused with collective desire and curiosity, influencing perception and behavior subtly. A few voices whispered of darker possibilities, that the creature's playful energy could sometimes manifest as obsession, that those who became too attached might experience disturbances in thought, emotion, or sleep. These stories, shared in hushed tones, only heightened the creature's allure. The mixture of fascination, fear, and reverence made Labubu an experience rather than a mere possession. Amid the obsession, patterns began to emerge. Certain editions were consistently associated with more vivid reports of unusual experiences. Some collectors spoke of the Makaran-themed Labubu figures evoking dreams of vibrant, surreal landscapes, while others claimed that seasonal or collaboration figures brought an inexplicable awareness of presence, as if the creature was observing not only them but the world itself. Each observation was anecdotal, yet the volume and consistency of reports lent the creature an aura of something beyond the mundane. Labubu was not simply owned, it was encountered, experienced, and integrated into the lives of those who engaged with it. By now, Labubu had transcended the typical boundaries of a collectible. It inspired art, fashion, and social commentary. Its image appeared in collaborations with clothing brands, accessories, and even digital media. Fans adorned their lives with representations of the creature, from keychains on backpacks to figurines in offices. Labubu became a symbol, a nexus of culture and imagination, a bridge between whimsy and mystery. Yet, despite its proliferation, the creature retained an air of elusiveness. It could be everywhere and nowhere, present yet intangible, familiar yet eternally even as Labubu captured hearts and attention globally, its essence remained unknowable. Stories of subtle movements, shifted objects, and vivid dreams persisted, reinforcing its mythology. Collectors and observers debated endlessly. Was the creature alive in some sense? A sentient manifestation of collective imagination? Or was it the human mind projecting meaning and mystery onto a cleverly designed figure? The answer was never clear, and perhaps that was precisely the point. Labubu's power lay in ambiguity, in its ability to inhabit the space between belief and doubt, reality and imagination. By the end of this stage in Labubu's journey, it had evolved into a cultural phenomenon, a living legend carried not just in vinyl, but in stories, dreams, and collective consciousness. Its presence could be felt in quiet rooms, bustling cities, and the glowing screens of social media feeds across the globe. Achen books in each observation. Each whispered story added another layer to its growing myth. Labubu was more than a toy. It was a mystery, an experience, a phenomenon that both fascinated and unnerved. Its grin, ever present, remained mischievous, yet inscrutable, inviting the observer to continue the pursuit of understanding, knowing that full understanding might never come. And so, the rise of Labubu, the obsession, and the global fever had taken root. Its legend was no longer confined to a single region, studio, or community. It had become a shared experience, a collective myth, a smiling shadow that stretched across continents. Each owner, each observer, each storyteller became part of the legend, contributing to the living tapestry of mystery that surrounded Labubu. The world had begun to notice, yet the full nature of the creature remained elusive. Its story was far from over. In fact, it was only beginning to unfold in the minds and dreams of those willing to see, to hold, and to wonder. Even as Labubu captivated the imagination of millions, it carried an undercurrent of mystery that could not be fully explained. Beyond the playful, mischievous smile and the vibrant colors of vinyl figures lay a presence that was intangible yet persistent. A quiet, persistent awareness that left observers unsettled, mesmerized, or both. Its journey from illustration to tangible collectible had not diminished its enigmatic aura. If anything, it had intensified it. The world had embraced Labubu, but Labubu had, in turn, embraced the world. Or perhaps, it had chosen carefully where to appear, lingering just at the edge of perception, unseen but profoundly felt. Collectors recounted stories that blurred the line between reality and dream. One spoke of receiving a rare collaboration figure as a gift. Placing it on the bedside table, she noticed subtle changes over the following nights. Objects would shift slightly, shadows would move in unusual patterns, and in moments when her eyes lingered too long, the creature seemed almost to observe her back. The experience was disconcerting yet mesmerizing, a delicate interplay between fascination and unease. Another collector described dreams filled with surreal, kaleidoscopic landscapes, in which Labubu appeared as a guide, an observer, a trickster figure leading her through corridors of light and shadow. When she awoke, the memories of the dreams persisted as a vivid emotional residue, leaving her questioning whether these encounters were mere imagination or something more profound. The global community of Labubu enthusiasts became a living network of storytelling, where experiences intertwined and reinforced the mythology. Social media groups buzzed with accounts of strange phenomena, of subtle shifts in perception, of emotional resonance that could not be quantified. Collectors debated endlessly. Was Labubu simply an artifact of human desire and imagination, elevated by clever design and viral culture? Or was it something alive, something that existed at the threshold of human perception? Some speculated that the more one engaged with Labubu, the more it imprinted itself upon the observer's consciousness, shaping dreams, emotions, and even behaviors in subtle ways. Labubu's influence extended beyond the tangible. Its image inspired art, fashion, and design, often with surreal undertones that echoed the creature's mystical qualities. Collaborations with designers, limited edition releases, and thematic variations amplified its reach, transforming Labubu into a cultural symbol whose meaning shifted depending on who interacted with it. For some, it represented childhood wonder, for others, an artistic enigma, and for a few, a profound, almost spiritual experience that resisted explanation. Its allure lay not only in form or rarity, but in the emotional and psychological responses it evoked, a quiet resonance that transcended the boundaries of ordinary collectibles. Yet alongside fascination came a subtle shadow. Stories of obsession, unease, and fleeting anomalies persisted. Rare figures sometimes disappeared inexplicably, reappearing in unexpected places. Observers spoke of tingling sensations, glimpses out of the corner of the eye, and moments when reality itself seemed to bend slightly around the creature's presence. These accounts were never entirely verifiable, yet their consistency across communities lent them an uncanny credibility. Labubu had become more than a toy, more than art. It had become an experience that could alter perception, a phenomenon that occupied the threshold between belief and doubt, reality and imagination. The phenomenon of Labubu also revealed deeper truths about human fascination with mystery, collectors' devotion, the spread of stories, and the global engagement with the creature demonstrated the ways in which objects of art could transform into myth. Labubu functioned as both mirror and lens, reflecting the desires, fears, and curiosities of those who encountered it, while simultaneously offering a glimpse into something beyond ordinary understanding. The creature's smile, mischievous, secretive, and inscrutable, became a symbol of this duality, playful yet profoundly enigmatic. As Labubu's presence expanded, so too did its mythology. Some collectors spoke of the figure as having preferences, of choosing its owner, of subtly influencing the environment around it. Others suggested that Labubu's power lay in observation, that in the act of being watched, humans revealed themselves, their hopes, and their secrets. Dreams became a recurring theme. People reported vivid nocturnal experiences in which Labubu guided them through fantastical landscapes, whispered in languages half understood, or simply observed in silent attention. These reports, whether interpreted as psychological phenomena or as genuine encounters with something otherworldly, reinforced the sense of a living legend that could not be fully contained or explained. Labubu's global impact was equally striking. Beyond personal collections, the creature inspired exhibitions, collaborative artworks, and pop-up events that drew crowds in the thousands. Artists, fashion designers, and storytellers incorporated Labubu into their works, often emphasizing its enigmatic qualities, the tension between the visible and invisible, the playful and the profound. Its symbolism evolved with each interaction. For some, it was a playful companion. For others, a mysterious guide. For others still, a mirror of the imagination itself. In every case, the legend deepened, and the smiling shadow grew in cultural significance. Even now, Labubu's ultimate nature remains unknown. Scholars of folklore and psychology speculate endlessly. Is it an art spirit, a collective hallucination, a symbol brought to life by human fascination, or something far stranger? The truth, it seems, lies just beyond reach, tantalizingly close, yet obscured. The creature's presence lingers in quiet moments on shelves, in sketches, in dreams, in whispered accounts shared across continents. Its story refuses to end. It persists in the imaginations of those who choose to see it, to experience it, to engage with the mystery it embodies. The open-ended nature of Labubu is perhaps its greatest power. It exists as a phenomenon, both real and imagined. A creature that transcends the confines of materiality, storytelling, and cultural boundaries. To encounter Labubu is to confront the unknown, to experience a blend of delight and unease, curiosity and reverence. Its smile remains, secretive and eternal. A beacon for those who dare to explore the boundaries of perception. Whether one interprets it as a clever design, a living myth, or a bridge between worlds, Labubu leaves its mark on the mind, lingering long after the figure is placed back on the shelf or the sketchbook is closed. As this chapter closes, Labubu waits quietly, patiently, for the next observer to notice it. Perhaps it rests in a quiet studio, tucked in a shelf corner, or perched subtly in a display case, watching, smiling, inviting contemplation. The smiling shadow is elusive, ephemeral, yet profoundly present. A reminder that the world contains more than what meets the eye. Its story continues, shaped by those who interact with it, retold in whispers, shared across screens, and dreamed in the quiet of night. Labubu's legend is eternal, a living narrative, ever-shifting, never fully understood. The creature exists in the space between imagination and reality, a mirror reflecting both wonder and unease. Its smile, so simple yet complex, is an invitation to explore, to question, to wonder. The mystery remains unresolved, open-ended, alive. Labubu is not just a figure. It is an experience, a phenomenon, a story that refuses to end, waiting always for those who dare to look closely, to believe, to imagine. And so, the smiling shadow endures, silent yet perceptible, playful yet enigmatic, tangible yet mysterious. Labubu, he said, out there, everywhere and nowhere. A legend alive in our perception, in our stories, in the quiet moments where imagination and reality intertwine. It waits, it watches, it smiles, inviting all who encounter it to ponder the boundary between the known and the unknowable, and to recognize that some mysteries are meant not to be solved, but to be lived.